Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to part two of our discussion about Chance the Rapper and our collaboration with Omar from the Thought Films. Yeah, we're happy to have him as always. I kind of got a loaded question for you guys. So in case you missed it, part one is actually over on Thought's channel. We talk about Chance's new single, The Heart and the Tongue, which is really exciting. We break it down, talk about the meaning, the lyrics, all that good stuff. His comeback. Is he making a comeback? That's actually what we're here to talk about right now. So, yeah, my first question is, what do you think when you hear Chance the Rapper, right now at this point in his career? What exactly is his image? Because I feel like that's kind of gotten mucked up over the last few years. But yeah, what do you guys think when you hear Chance the Rapper's name?
If you asked me that like a year ago or a couple years ago, I forget when his last album came out, I probably would be like, I have no thoughts about Chance the Rapper right now, or just something I had dismissed from my mind after being let down by his last album, which I'm sure is a common thought. I would say right now, after going over his last track and our conversation over on Thought's channel, like I would say when I think of Chance the Rapper, when I hear his name, I think a comeback artist. At least I hope.
Yeah, same here in the sense that my perception of him's changed a lot over these past few years. And obviously it started out as like they'd relate one of my favorite rappers. It was just a feeling that every new track or every new project that we got from Chance was just a big event. Like all his music had a really like special place to me, like in high school and stuff, growing up listening to Acid Rain and
For sure, yeah.
And just like a lot of his deeper music, but he also had a connection to his fans that a lot of artists don't have. I considered myself a fan, and after the big day, obviously, and people started seeing him more as this like religious zealot and like making fun of his relationship with his wife and stuff like that. And so I kind of fell into line with like the jokes and the Twitter memes. And so yeah, I'm hoping that this perception that I have now that he is about to come back and kind of like remind us all why we fell in love with him and his music in the first place.
How it felt to listen to Chance back in high school, definitely relate to that. It's like reminds me of a very specific time in my life. Acid rap and listening to him on SoundCloud, just the whole mantra of Chance was like such a cool new twist on the industry. So hopefully we can return back to that.
Sunday Candy,
classic.
and like Cocoa Butter Kisses, Juice. We talked about the big day when we were anticipating it, and we were just like, man, this is gonna be the craziest album. It's maybe gonna be his most personal album, especially since it's about his wife and marriage and all that. Transitioning into the big day, it's pretty much well known that it's kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. It's the iceberg that hit the Titanic. It just turned everything around on its head. And my thing with the big day is that I feel like it's a decent album, for an artist that I didn't know. Like if it was just like a random album that someone put on, I'd be like, okay, like it's not
hot take, right?
It's not bad, it's not great. But when you put it in the context of Chance the Rapper, who has made Cocoa Butter Kisses and Sunday Candy, like we said, and Ultralight Beam, I'm just like, damn, what happened? Like what happened? The songs that had so much soul, and then the big day just feels so polished and boring.
All his old songs got a huge renaissance even before, like right before the big day came out. When they put Acid Rap and 10 Day on Apple Music. So people got reminded of how great it was just before the big day came out even.
That's
just
true.
To make it even worse, yeah. But the quote I had, this was from a Zane Lowe interview that he had right before the big day came out. His quote was about what makes the greatest album of all time, and that's what he was trying to do, was make the greatest album of all time. And this is his criteria.
Be made out of diamonds. It would be nostalgic, but also futuristic. You can't have a greatest album of all time without a shit ton of love songs. All the best albums have love songs. It's not all about me and my journey and how fast I can rap and shit like that. It's about love. And most of all, you have to be able to dance to it. The best album of all time for me is not something that I need to listen to with reading glasses. Like,
I was wondering what you guys thought of this criteria. Does that contextualize the album at all, or is it just is what it is?
Yeah, that's interesting to me. That's something I wouldn't expect Chance to say, but it's something that makes sense for him to say before he dropped the big day, because people fell in love with Chance's music because it was not necessarily darker like he is, like this positive figure, but just like his relatable moments and
It was real.
yeah, it was real. He's talking about his struggles. He's talking about just harder things in life, and him saying that the perfect album would be just something that's about love and something that's all positive and just makes you want to dance is interesting to hear from him, because it feels like for much of his career he was showing us that you could be real and make perfect albums. Like you could be real and make something that connects with people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. That is interesting. I mean, it does make sense in terms of, you know, the context of The Big Day and how that record sounds compared to his other albums. You know, it's definitely exactly how he described it. You know, it's a dance record. It's all about love. Literally, hey, I remember the image of like the album cover is like the disc covered with diamonds. So I don't know if that's more of a literal thing or if he meant like every song is a hit or something like that. But I mean, I could say the same things about his other, you know, past projects. Like even with Ask the Rapper, like Coloring Book, you know, there are songs on there that are real and they talk about, you know, real subjects, but I can also kind of like dance to it and vibe and like, yeah, that's interesting how those are the criteria that he thinks. I wonder if we asked him that same question today, if he would say something different.
By the way, yeah, when asked what he thought was the best album of all time, he actually said,
To me personally, the best album of all time, Acid Rap. On the Run.
What strikes me is the insistence on making it like a full dance album. Like you said, the last point was you have to be able to dance to it. Like Jordan Peele says, like it's way easier to make people laugh during Get Out than it is skits with Key and Peele, because people are coming in expecting to laugh, and it's always harder to make them do something when they expect it. And I feel like coming into an album saying, okay, this is going to be just a dance album. Like imagine if The Weeknd was just came in and was like, yo, I'm gonna make an album that's specifically made for you to cry. Granted, he did that, but he set out to do other things in order to achieve that. One thing we touched on, I remember in our last discussion, was, you know, how much he wanted to say things, like specifically on Twitter. He wanted to say what he felt, but he knew that would get him canceled or uninvited, like he said. The whole like vote for Kanye, I remember that was one of the big things. He'd also argued with people who didn't like The Big Day. I remember that was a big thing as well. That's one thing I touched on earlier, but I want to really discuss is how much has the image of Chance the Rapper like really changed, and what exactly has it changed into?
You know, we touched on it in our analysis of, you know, The Heart and the Tongue and why he said the things he said and what he thought about, you know, that time in his life, I guess. I think that's definitely tarnished, obviously, what people think of him, but personally I see it as more of just a moment where he was just out of character as a person. He is much more understanding. He's a much more reasonable person. You know, we've all been listening to Chance for a long time. We've been understanding the way his mind works for a while through his past projects, and I know that there was just so much writing on this album, and seeing all that backlash just really hurt his ego, especially when it's about something as personal as his like marital life and stuff like that. But I think right now, I don't think it's as detrimental to his like entire career as what most people think.
So you don't think it's not irreparable, basically, like his reputation? Because I personally feel like it is a little bit.
Yeah, I think depending on the music that he releases or whatever the next project he's working on, like people are gonna listen to it because they want to know what he has to say, especially being the center of attention like that. But if he does it right and like comes at the situation from the same angle he was coming from in The Heart and the Tongue, it might be a saving grace for him. It might be his like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy moment, you know what I mean? Not saying it's going to be like one of the best hip hop albums of all time, but
you know, it's about to drop the greatest hip hop album of all time.
Yeah, I think I agree with Matthew that like the music kind of makes all the wounds go away. If he drops if he drops another album that has hits on it, people will forget about. I feel like this whole era even, and yeah, he was seen like he did have that Good Samaritan like personality. So I would see if like his diehard fans kind of see that as a betrayal of like who they knew him as and like what they thought his values were and everything. But at the end of the day, maybe not everyone understands, but like the fans will understand that these artists are human and they go through the same things, and he's going through development, and I'm sure that he himself will address it. I'm sure he'll like go into it on this project, and if he really is gonna like take a turn from The Big Day and go back into being introspective and talking his mind more, then I doubt he'll not give that explanation to his fans. He kind of already did. Like, tongue is violent when the spirit gets to hunger striking was the line. the heart and the tongue. So it's just like when the spirit isn't being fed enough, like he's just saying he wasn't on the spiritual wavelength that he needed to be to deal with that in the right way. Drake has this whole bit about like the 72-hour rule, where like when people are flipping out on you on Twitter.
My mom said to me, she said, you know what? She said, you'll go to sleep tonight, you'll wake up and it'll still bother you, then you'll go to sleep again and you'll wake up and it'll bother you a little less. And then on the third day, you'll wake up and someone else will have done something stupid enough that everyone will forget.
Totally true.
Maybe that's something Chance just like now has learned, but at the time, like didn't really know how to deal with as well. And like we can't blame them for being human.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up was, hey, remember when Good Ass Job was a thing? Remember when that whole announcement happened in like 2018?
Oh my God.
You know, we had Chance walking out on stage and he was like, yo, guess what? Or no, I forget. It was Kanye or Chance. Someone was on stage and was like, yo.
Me and Chance working on a new album. It's called Good Ass Job.
I think I heard or read somewhere that was either scrapped or like shelved. I mean, we can't even get a project from just Kanye. I don't know about a collaborative project from Kanye and someone else. But man, I forgot about that. That was what year? 2018?
2018.
But yeah, no, I'm like pretty sure it was either completely scrapped or pushed away for another time.
Yeah. As much as I want to dwell on, you know, Chance's past, I think I want to just go ahead and look towards the future, because I think that looks a whole lot brighter than than what he's had to go through as well the last couple years. So I just want to open it up to like, what do you guys want from this album? Do you guys want any dream collabs you got?
I want to see the Chance and Vic Mensa duo back together.
Oh yeah.
I need to see Kanye back on this next album. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people in the industry fuck with Chance, but I think like he'll be able to pull off a good feature list, and it's time he focuses less on like having the features carry the songs, and because I feel like that's something he might have thought he could get away with on this last project.
Yeah, sonically, do you think it'll sound, or would you want it to sound similar to how the Heart and the Tongue sound? Would that be something you would want to see him explore more?
I think that's something I'd want to see him explore more. Like that reminds me of songs like Acid Rain, like the ones where he just sounded like he was just straight talking to us. And he put out a whole EP of songs like that. And some of them like had different vibes to them too. Like some of them were more like dance tracks. But that EP itself, I feel like was well put together. If you could put together an album like that, I feel like the fans would be pretty satisfied, and I would be too. Yeah.
I like when Chance gets a little more introspective, when he's just kind of him on a beat. But then I also like when he does his more crazier tracks, when he does a lot of like the vocal inflections that we love, and you know the crazy just ad libs and you know all that. So I think getting a little bit more of that, but also this kind of refreshing new taste of returning back to that, you know, what he's used to, would be cool. Feature wise, like Chance could get kind of whoever. He's worked with so many people, you know, especially on Coloring Book. Like if you look at the lineup on just like features on that whole record, like it's a lot of, you know, big names on there. I don't know. I think like No Name, like just the common, you know.
I got one for you.
Oh, okay.
I got one for you.
I already know what it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go.
All right. Hey guys, so let's say who we think I would say on the for a feature, you know, on the next Chance album on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bino.
Nav.
Oh.
I'm sticking with Nav, bro.
What would a Nav Chance the Rapper track sound like? Let's spend like 20 more minutes dissecting that.
Let's keep that on the big day. We'll keep that.
But yeah, I think him and Bino would be such a sick collab, and also because of kind of where they're at in their careers. I think that they both kind of went opposite directions. Bino went super experimental and super like, you know, he's trying things out. I feel personally to his detriment on 31520, his most recent album. Meanwhile, Chance went super polished. Oh, did you disagree with me?
Whatever.
I'll take.
Oh shit, man.
That's another video.
All right, scrap this. We're going to start another podcast. Hey guys, so today we're going to go ahead and debate. No, I'm just playing. So yeah, no, I just personally feel like he stretched too much and there are like too many like idle moments, too much dead space. But there are some good tracks on there. Like 1238 is like one of my favorite tracks of the year. Meanwhile, like Chance went super polished and pop with the big day. Obviously, like it's just very uninspired, like just like a bunch of filler tracks that you could take off. Them working together could like average it out, you know. They could both stretch their artistic creativity limits, whatever, while still, you know, being able to. I'm just thinking of Silk Sonic. That's kind of like how Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars work. Apparently they kind of reel each other in. I'm kind of hoping that collab will kind of do that for them. How about anything you guys don't want him to do? Not just for the next album, but just moving forward through his career.
I don't want to rush anything anymore, you know. Like, definitely want him to just take his time with whatever is coming next, because, you know, he had like what could have led up to just a perfect discography, and now there's just like a blemish on it that will never go away. So it's like he should take that time and just realize like this next one is like that saving grade. But honestly, like at the end of the day, it's just albums, and like Chance is still doing his thing, and
Right.
that old music will always mean something to us. So do whatever you want, Chance. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Chance was definitely riding that high coming off a Grammy with Coloring Book, and how far that launched him into, you know, the mainstream, I guess. But yeah, I think one thing that, you know, I hope he's learned is the importance of taking your time and sitting with the project for how long it needs to be sat with, especially because of what happened with the big day. I know that was kind of rushed, or there was a lot of wasted time, you know, in the studio and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think for something I don't want him to do, he knows how to write, you know, like especially with this latest track with like The Heart and the Tongue, like insane metaphors and references to like biblical figures and stories, and like so much for us to like, you know, sink our teeth into. Keeping that in mind, I think going along the same style of writing of his latest track is something I would want him to do, and not go towards more of like the literal, very straightforward sense that brought the big day down in that sense.
With this next album drop, I hope he doesn't try to dwell on the big day and try to make it look better in retrospect. I hope he just kind of, you know, he dropped a dud, just trying to move on from this phase. Like I think of Kid Cudi with Speeding Bullet to Heaven. You know, it's definitely not his most well received. It's his worst received album. And as he looks back on that time, he says it was just a phase in his life where he just wanted to scream, you know, and scream in the booth. I feel like that's kind of where Chance was at, where he was just super in love and happy and just probably wanted to dance and all that. And it resulted in maybe not the best project that he could have made, especially considering where he was at that point in time. You know, he was on Sprite commercials. And Omar, I don't know if you have watched our videos, but we had a rapper fantasy draft back in 2018. I picked this dude with my second pick. Third round pick, Chance the Rapper will be taken off the board, just because I got Kanye and Chance. I got the Good Ass Job collab coming in.
Damn. I understand that, you know, because at the time it's like 3 albums you could say or 3 projects you could say are like classic, you know, and just the impact he had, and the connection with Kanye, and just he was like rap's golden child, like rap's like glory boy, you know. And
he was really the next, if we're comparing it to someone, I think of it like he was gonna be the next Drake. He's like the nice guy who can rap, you know. And maybe he can get aggressive every now and then, but he was, you know, you can market him, you know, for lack of a better term, to like, you know, the suburban audience, you know, without the stigma that most, I think, executives have towards just like hip hop in general.
I feel like, thinking about it more, Coloring Book was like so much more of what Chance was probably trying to do with the big day. Him making an album just about him being happy and like a happy point in his life compared to the last 2 albums. Yeah, I just think it's interesting that like this album is just him in love and him wanting to dance, and people don't rock with that.
Yeah.
No chance.
Is it harder for happy albums to be likable?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Like Coloring Book is a happy album, and it's likable, you know. But that was like a moment of like kind of like accumulation of like all these years of Chance slowly making it to the top, and now he's there, and that's like the celebration. But I don't think people connect to Coloring Book like even close to the level of Acid Rain and 10 Day, because there was like more realness and like more of the negative stuff and more shit that people could relate to.
It's hard because I know if we're talking just about Chance, like he has every right to make an album where he's happy. Like I feel like, you know, if you followed you know, where he's been from the beginning, from 10 Day to Acid Rap to Coloring Book. Like, he's had some really like dark days, but with that message, he found success. So it's like, you know, he deserves to make an album to where, look, like, this is where I've made it, basically. Like, this is the first studio album. Like, I'm happy. Like, my life is better. In his position, I could understand where it's like, yeah, like, this is where I'm at. Where, you know, we're celebrating with this album. Like, in my opinion, I think he kind of achieved that with Coloring Book already. You know, it's not him being like, oh, like, I love my life all the time. But it's still like it still had that
he
triumph.
Loves his wife all the time is what he loves.
Right.
Sorry, guys. One last wife joke just for the road, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I think people thought we already got that. And so when he went fully, you know, into that like happy phase, I guess, people were like, this is too much. Like, where's the edge, basically, of Chance?
One thing I've always been interested about Chance is kind of the hypocrisy that he embodies. You know, if you just think about it, like, yeah, he's a Christian in the most materialistic like business, you know, of hip hop, you know, that values materialism. So I kind of wish that he would rap about that a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think that could be interesting. I wouldn't say it's like the hypocrisy, but more like the contrast of someone who is like God-fearing, or who wants to follow a certain lifestyle, but works in an industry that directly opposes that entire lifestyle that you're setting out. And I'm sure something like a track on something like that would be interesting, especially if Kanye was on that. Then we could get Kanye's input on there. I would think trying to incorporate more conflict in that sense, even if it is a happier album, it can be happy, but there has to be a little more more dynamic than that. Yeah, so that concludes our basic rundown of our thoughts on Chance the Rapper. I know we've given our 2 cents here and there, but we've never really done a dedicated video on what really happened on Chance the Rapper, and I think enough time has passed to where we can really delve back and look more towards the future. You know, forget the past. It's a new day, new track by Chance the Rapper, something to look forward to. Thank you so much, our buddy Omar from the channel Thought. I'm sure you guys have seen, if you've seen our videos, you've probably seen his, but go over all of his socials and everything will be in the description. Check out his videos. He's been making videos way longer than us. Has some super dope stuff on there, so be sure to give him some love over on his channel. Yeah, definitely check out the second half of this video where we go into Chance's latest track, The Heart and the Tongue. A lot was said in that, and there was a lot to be said about that track over on Thought's channel. That should be up by the time that this video is up. But yeah, with that, any closing remarks?
No, I'm just excited for the future of Chance's career, excited for the music that's coming if we got a track that sounds like this. And yeah, hopefully Chance doesn't let us down again.
Right.
Yeah, I'm tired of giving chances, man. But yeah, no, I'm pretty confident in what he has coming up. I said that as if I know something that you guys don't. I feel like whenever an artist kind of hits a downhill slope, there's only 2 ways to go, you know, and I feel pretty confident, especially after Heart and the Tongue, that it's going to go up. Just really excited. Hopefully this doesn't age poorly.
Right. Like your draft pick. But yeah, that about does it. You guys know where to reach us, Our Thoughts Podcast, on everything. Subscribe to us down below. Follow us on all social medias. And we'll see you guys later. Peace out.